Martin arrives at the hospital to see Drew, not knowing why he has been called by the congressman. Drew says he needs a lawyer, and it must be him. Martin reminds him that their business is over, but Drew entices him with the lure of saving Stella. After Drew makes a call, calling off the investigation into Stella and getting her back to work at GH, Martin agrees to be his lawyer. Drew then asks Martin to draft an injunction to keep the PCPD from going through his safe, as it contains evidence against Dr. Portia Robinson that could send her to prison. Martin notes that blackmail is a crime, so Drew tells him to make sure the police never find that evidence. Chase drops by Anna's office with a report on the contents of Drew's safe, and Anna calls Justine in regarding the newly discovered evidence about Judge Heron's murder. Justine arrives and is given evidence from Drew's safe, a wire transfer from a Swiss bank account to the judge. Justine says that without proof that it's Drew's account, which they don't have, this isn't much to go on. Plus, why would he bribe the judge to rule against Willow? Chase gets a little testy, and he says Drew only cares about what he wants. Anna signals Chase to tone it down, and notes that if Drew's bribe were exposed, he'd be inclined to find a way to keep the judge quiet. Turner then receives the call that Martin has filed an injunction against the PCPD searching Drew's safe, and if the judge upholds it, their evidence will be inadmissible. Fortunately, it appears Drew does not know they've already accessed the safe, so she might be able to get him to talk. Turner heads out, and Anna warns Chase that he's making this personal and is too invested in taking Drew down. The detective rants that Willow deserves to know she lost her kids because of Drew. Anna notes, maybe she already does. Turner arrives to see Drew at the hospital and discuss his safe. She's afraid his lawyer's injunction came too late, as the PCPD has examined the contents. Sidwell meets Marco on Pier 54, as the launch to Windermere is delayed. Marco asks his father point-blank if he killed the judge. Sidwell says, "No, you did!" He says Marco signed her death warrant the minute he told Drew about the payoff, but that judge also sealed her fate the minute she took his bribe. Sidwell says what's done is done and steers the conversation to Marco's firm becoming very busy with Drew's attempted murder. Sidwell learns Marco is representing Michael, and his son admits his alibi is flimsy. The taxi arrives and Sidwell tells his son, "The Judge Heron incident is closed, and never betray me again." In Sonny's office, Carly, Britt, and Sonny are discussing Drew when Jason arrives. Carly asks what kept him and why he went to see Anna. Sonny realizes Jason found Britt. Jason briefly explains the situation at the Five Poppies and that he brought Britt home. Carly is miffed Jason and Sonny kept her out of the loop. Their discussion turns to Drew's shooting and whether Michael has an alibi. Sonny says the cops don't have much yet and informs Jason that Alexis is also on the suspect list because of Drew's restraining orders. Carly reveals Jack is her alibi, which she told Anna tonight, so she's in the clear. Carly decides it's time for her to head home, and Jason asks if they are okay. She says she's angry Jason and Sonny kept her in the dark about his plan to find Britt, but she's glad he's home, and they hug. Britt, Sonny, and Jason continue discussing how to help Michael. Sonny informs Jason about Danny and Rocco finding the judge's dead body, and that he believes Sidwell is behind it. Jason suddenly has to take off. At Nina's, after Obrecht slaps her daughter, Nina tells Britt they grieved for her, and this is a miracle. Nina feels they should focus on the miracle part. Nina asks Obrecht to apologize to Britt. Obrecht yells she's sorry. Sorry she wasted a second of her time grieving for her daughter. Obrecht cries that for over 2 years she relived Britt dying in her arms and thinking about what might have been had she lived. Now it turns out her death was a lie, and she never imagined she could be as cruel and selfish as her father. Britt screams, "No, Mutter, I'm exactly like you!" Britt screams that she couldn't waste what little time she had left watching her mother be sad and trying to make her feel better. Obrecht chimes, "That's a monstrous thing to say to your mother," to which Britt responds, "I am the monster you raised me to be." Obrecht asks if Britt created such a wonderful life. Why is she back? Britt says the WSB caused problems, and she came back thinking her mother would be happy to see her. Nina asks Britt if she's in trouble, and Britt insists she's fine. She could also use a short-term loan. Obrecht is convinced money is the reason Britt is back and orders Nina not to loan her money. Obrecht points out that Britt wanted a life free of them, which means their money too. Britt cries that she thinks her mother liked her better when she was dead, because she could imagine the person she wanted her to be rather than deal with who she is. Obrecht says now to her, both her children are dead, and at least Nathan deserved her tears. Britt storms out. Britt ends up at Pier 54 and thinks about how close she and her mom got in the last few months of her life. At the bungalow in Australia, Jack tells Vaughn and Joss that their getaway is against regulations and that relationships can make agents become compromised and vulnerable. In normal circumstances, he'd document this in their files and send them to separate hemispheres, never to work together again. But he needs them in Port Charles. Jack tells Vaughn that he's been promoted to Colette's position and his undercover days are over. Joss asks about herself. Jack wants her to return to PCU and be ready when he needs her. Joss asks about Vaughn and the fact that they made people think they were dating, including her mom. Jack assumes Jason's told Carly that Vaughn is WSB by now, but Joss believes Jason will keep his word and her secret. Jack says if Jason didn't tell Carly, they are in the clear. But if she knows, he'll have to invoke the State Secrecy Act to keep her quiet. Joss laughs at the thought of her mom keeping quiet. Jack says they need to refocus the investigation back to Dalton, especially now that Britt is back in Port Charles. They have to figure out what the connection between them is, and Jack says Britt will have to be debriefed and made to cooperate. In her office, Anna says that if Willow knew about Drew's bribe, that would give her a motive to shoot him. Chase defends Willow and her right to know about this, but Anna says this is sensitive information and he is not to tell anyone. At GH, Turner tells Drew about the wire transfer to the judge that was found in his safe, which appears to be a bribe from him. Brick tells Sonny that he's got to get back to LA, and Sonny appreciates everything he's done. Brick assures him the planted evidence will hold up to the cops' scrutiny. In Australia, Jack is returning to Port Charles, but informs his two agents that he's giving them a last 24 hours together. And this can never happen again. At home, Obrecht tells Nina not to give Britt money. Nina knows her aunt is hurting, but she knows she still loves her daughter. Obrecht cries she always will, but she will never forgive her. And on the pier, Britt decides this was an epic fail. Jason appears and can see Britt's upset. She cries that it was a mistake coming back. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Messy Syrup. It's me, Abby, here. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Keep watching. So let's dive into today's video. Welcome to the General Hospital Daily YAPP for a quick, and by that I mean you're already halfway done, recap of the most amazing or what the heck did we just watch moments on today's episode. Let's get to it. Seriously, can poor Jason do anything without running it by Carly first? He has taken a whole lot of steps to have a life outside Carly and Sonny over the last year, including moving back home to the Quartermain mansion for the first time since the 90s. However, he didn't tell Carly he was going to Croatia, and she was big mad about that fact. When she indignantly asked him why he didn't inform her of his plans, our jaws were on the floor. They shouldn't have been because this is Carly when it comes to Jason, but it's getting old after 30 years and really does make the character look ridiculous. Jason is her friend, not her boyfriend, not a relative, and not her husband. He owes her nothing except friendship in return. He should not have to run his every move by her or approve of his whereabouts at all times. When she finds out he is keeping Jocelyn's career choice from her, we can already hear her. Scene after scene of me, as Carly berates her friend for keeping his word to her daughter. While we look forward to Carly going ballistic because it will certainly be epic, neither Jason nor Joss owes her anything. They are both adults, and Carly needs to learn when to zip it. We keep being told the character has finally matured, but not when it comes to Jason, that's for sure. Want more details? We got you! Soap Central has the best full GH recaps on the internet. You can even go back over 30 years and read each and every one of them. If you can't wait until the next episode, we have daily spoilers too. And whatever you do this weekend, do not, seriously, do not Forget to read the 2 scoops for some laughs in the as close as we can come to being a watching party without actually being a show. And the best part is if you agree or disagree, we want to know. As always, share your comments below. Here are your General Hospital spoilers for Tuesday, September 16, 2025. There is only so much that Nina can take when it comes to her dingbat daughter. She has been trying to give Willow space, but knowing that Willow is falling back under Drew's spell has her ready to lose it. Willow argues that at least she is calling the shots in her life now, and she doesn't need Nina's help or advice. That is enough to make Nina snap and shout that the only one calling the shots is Drew. How will Willow defend herself when deep down she has to know it's true? She is once again letting Drew take charge and dictate how she is going to get custody of her kids. When Willow did that the last time, she lost custody of her kids, so it's baffling that she thinks he is going to be able to help her now. Molly seems to finally notice that her father is missing and figures the only other person who might care is Elizabeth. She asks Liz if she has heard from Rick, so Liz tells her about the weird digital detox email. Does either one of them buy that nonsense, especially coming from Rick? At Ava's place, Ava and Christina discuss next steps. They know Willow wants to find Rick because he is her lawyer, but Ava has a plan to get Willow to fire Rick without Rick even being around. Will her plan succeed? Britt tells Jason all about her disastrous reunion with her mother, which even cost her a place to stay, as Liesl ordered Nina not to give Britt anything. Jason tells Britt that he won't take no for an answer. Does he offer for her to go home with him? Lulu is still reeling from the fact that Britt is alive and tells Brooklyn all about the encounter. The 2 women discuss the situation in the Quartermain living room, but are they about to be in for a big surprise? General Hospital recap for Monday, September 15th, reveals that a possible shooter motive for Willow Tate was considered while S. Vaughn got a promotion. Jason Morgan also found a crying Britt Westbourne, so here's how Monday's action-packed episode played out. In Australia, Jack Brennan promoted Vaughn to Colette Moreau's position since he needed a second-in-command ASAP who knew all about Port Charles. Brennan wasn't happy about Vaughn and Jocelyn Jacks sneaking off to this bungalow for a romance that was against the rules. Even so, Brennan needed Vaughn as his right-hand man and wanted Jocelyn ready for her next mission at PCU. Although Brennan assumed Jason had told Carly Spencer about Jocelyn's WSB status by now, Jocelyn didn't think Jason would say anything. Talk turned to Britt and her link to Professor Henry Hank Dalton, so Brennan wanted to force Britt to cooperate with their investigation. After Brennan announced he was heading back to PC, he gave Vaughn and Jocelyn 24 more hours together at the bungalow, though he emphasized this could never happen again. At GH, Drew Kane summoned Martin Gray and made a phone call to take care of Stella Henry's legal problems, as well as get her reinstated at the hospital. That was enough to get Martin on board with helping Drew, who needed him to file an injunction and keep the PCPD from investigating his safe. Drew explained it's the blackmail situation with Portia Robinson and wanted to make sure that documents stayed out of the cops' hands. In Anna Devane's office, Harrison Chase talked to her about evidence that had been found in Drew's safe. ADA Justine Turner joined the conversation and learned there was proof of a Swiss bank wire transfer to Judge Eva Heron. Justine was skeptical about this holding up and didn't understand why Drew would pay for Michael Corinthos' win. Chase acted like it was all about manipulating Willow and kept trashing Drew, so Anna had to settle him down. ADA Turner eventually got news on Martin filing for the injunction, which could make what the cops found inadmissible. Since Drew didn't know about this wire transfer proof being found yet, Justine decided to pay Drew a visit and see what info she could get out of him. In Drew's hospital room, ADA Turner informed him that filing the injunction came too late, since the safe had already been searched. Justine confronted Drew about the wire transfer evidence that pointed to Judge Heron's bribe, so he looked surprised. Back with Anna, she suggested to Chase that maybe Willow already knew about Drew's bribe to Judge Heron, which would have given her a motive to pull the trigger. Anna made it clear that Chase had to keep the wire transfer proof under wraps, so Sonny Corinthos and Brick's Drew setup was definitely making a mess of things. At Nina Reeves's place, Liesl Obrecht ranted about Britt Westbourne being just like Cesar Faison. but Britt insisted she was just like Liesel instead. Although Obrecht thought it was monstrous for Britt to let her own mother believe she died, Britt argued that she was the monster Liesel raised her to be. Obrecht assumed Britt only came back because she was broke and warned Nina not to give Britt the loan she was asking for. Nina wanted to help Britt and pushed Liesel to admit she still loved her daughter once Britt was gone. Obrecht confessed she would always love Britt, but she angrily declared that she'd never forgive her. On the pier, the launch was delayed, which gave Marco Rios a chance to confront Jens Sidwell and ask if he killed Judge Heron. Sidwell fired back that Marco did it instead when he told Drew about the bribe. However, Sidwell ultimately acknowledged that there were other factors involved, but the point was that Judge Heron was a wild card who needed to be silenced. What's done was done, so Sidwell felt that the matter was settled and warned Marco not to betray him again. Marco also told Sidwell about being called to represent Michael, who had a weak alibi that probably wouldn't hold up under scrutiny. In Sonny's office, Jason offered updates on finding Britt alive and spilled some of the Five Poppies resort drama, though he obviously didn't mention Jocelyn's part in all that. Carly realized Sonny and Brick knew more than her, so she wasn't pleased about being left in the dark. The discussion shifted to Drew's shooting and whether Michael had an alibi before Carly pointed out that Brennan vouched for her. Despite Carly's annoyance over Jason keeping secrets about Britt, she eventually embraced him and admitted she was glad about his homecoming. Sonny eventually told Jason about Danny Morgan's involvement in finding Judge Heron's body and shared his suspicions about Sidwell ordering her demise. Back on the pier, Britt flashed back to a sweeter moment of the past when Liesel was proud of her. It left Britt realizing she was better off playing dead. Jason showed up and could see that Britt had been crying, so she confessed that coming back was a mistake. General Hospital spoilers say Jason will do his best to give Britt the comfort and guidance she needs, so stay tuned. General Hospital spoilers reveal that Monica Quartermain's passing this week could set forth a road to redemption storyline for Drew Kane. The cutthroat congressman has hit rock bottom with his vile ways, and most fans want him off the canvas. But for some reason, he continues on. Many thought Drew's days were numbered after he got shot recently, and questioned why the show would keep him alive at this point. Surely, the ABC soap could easily replace him with another villain, so perhaps they kept him around because his character has more interesting chapters to tell. Could one of these stories be a road to redemption? Most GH viewers think Drew is beyond that, but the writers may have something special in mind. Drew and Monica once had a very close relationship. That is, before Drew spiraled, he betrayed the family by stealing Willow Tate from Michael Corinthos, and the fuss he caused with the city over the Quartermain crypt. Not to mention the countless other ways Drew has betrayed her and the rest of the Q family. Drew retaliated against Monica in the most despicable way recently, keeping her granddaughter, Scout Quartermain, from visiting her. This likely broke Monica's heart in more ways than can be described in dialogue, so once Drew finds out about her passing, will he regret all his recent actions? The news will rock Port Charles and likely cause Drew to reflect on his behavior as of late. Change never happens overnight, but will fans see the congressman slowly but surely evolve back into the hero he once was? Despite the animosity between the Quartermains and Drew over the past year, it's highly unlikely that they won't allow him to attend Monica's memorial to pay his last respects. He may use Scout as a pawn to attend too. However, once he is there and realizes that Monica is gone forever, could this trigger him to change his ways? General Hospital spoilers note, there's no way Drew can sink any lower than he has, pre-shooting, so will his mother's passing affect him to make a positive change in his life? General Hospital spoilers hint that Britt Westbourne may blast Carly Spencer and reveal that Jocelyn Jax is in the WSB. There's been a lot of talk about Jason Morgan's knowledge of Jocelyn's WSB status, but Britt knows the secret as well and could be the one to blow things up. Britt obviously doesn't appreciate the way Jason always puts Carly Spencer and her kids first. As far as Britt's concerned, Jason will never make her or anyone else the priority. Of course, Jason still feels a connection with Britt and will refuse to let her push him away. There's still a spark between Britt and Jason, one that Carly isn't going to approve of. Carly will always be grateful to Britt for saving Jocelyn from Heather Weber's attack, but that doesn't mean she'll be on board with Jason and Britt growing closer now. Since Carly was jealous of Britt in the past, you can bet she's going to be jealous of Britt once again. GH spoilers say Jason has a chance at love and happiness, but Carly may try to stand in the way. There's going to be some clashing between Britt and Carly in the coming episodes, so Carly could easily push Britt too far. Carly may get under Britt's skin and eventually lead to Britt blurting out something she can't take back. At some point, Britt might put Carly on full blast and blurt out that Jason doesn't share everything with her. Perhaps Britt will use Jocelyn's secret as proof that Jason and Carly's bond isn't as strong as Carly thinks. Whatever the case, Britt might spill the news about Jocelyn being part of the WSB and insist Jason has been keeping Carly out of the loop. Since Jack Brennan recruited Jocelyn and never breathed a word about it to Carly, Britt might take some jabs about the men in Carly's life, always leaving her in the dark. General Hospital spoilers say Britt and Carly definitely have some heated confrontations ahead of them, so stay tuned for updates on whether Britt will expose Jocelyn's WSB shocker. General Hospital, 2-week spoilers for September 15th through the 26th. See Drew Kane Quartermain accused, and Carly Corinthos Spencer is spitting mad. On Monday, September 15th, Nina Reeves tries to de-escalate the tension between Britt Westbourne and Liesl Obrecht, who has just slapped her daughter. Nina is telling Britt how much she and her mom, Liesl, grieved her when they thought she was dead from the hook killer. It's such a miracle she's alive. Nina is pressing Liesl to apologize for slapping Britt, but Liesl says she's only sorry that she wasted any time grieving Britt, who is yelling at her mom that she is the monster that Liesl raised her to be. Anna Devane gets new evidence on a case, so maybe the cops found what Britt had hidden in Drew's safe. Anna is telling Harrison Chase that Drew is ADA Turner's problem now, obviously about the judge thing, not about the attempted murder. Jack Brennan is quite upset with Jocelyn Jax and Vaughn, and is saying that their little stunt will cost them, the little stunt of them shagging at the beach. Carly tells someone that she's hurt, and it may be about Jason Morgan pushing her aside, which is long overdue. Drew is manipulating Martin Gray to do what he wants. This is, of course, after he fired him, but Drew is walking that back and wants Martin to make sure the police never see that evidence. He doesn't know about the stuff that Brick put in the safe, unless somehow Martin found it before the cops did. Otherwise, I assume it's the Portia Robinson stuff. Jason tells Carly and Sonny Corinthos that Britt is alive, and someone faked her death and went to great lengths to do so. I also wonder if there's a chance he may break his promise to Jocelyn and tell Carly she's a WSB agent. Marco Rios corners his dad, and I wonder, does he think Sidwell had Drew shot? Tuesday, September 16th. Christina Corinthos Davis is encouraging Cody Bell. Perhaps she's going to tell him that he should ask Molly Lansing Davis out. Elizabeth Weber chats with Molly, and they may be discussing if one or the other knew that Rick was leaving Port Charles. Of course, he's not. He's tied up with a ball gag in his mouth. Emma Scorpio Drake and Gio Palmieri get upsetting news, and it may be that Outback is still missing. Emma may stress about that since Hank Dalton was reportedly doing his tests on animals like dogs and monkeys. Lucas Jones shares something with his aunt Ava Jerome. He may tell her that Britt is alive, and he almost called Brad Cooper to tell him. Nina completely snaps. It could be about Willow Tate going back to Drew. It could be on Liesl or Britt. Wednesday, September 17th. Cody is shocked. Maybe something about Molly. I'm hoping he finds Rick. Somebody's got to find Rick, right? Because that's hilarious. Chase shares some info with Dante Falconeri, and I'm assuming it's about their Drew murder investigation. But you never know, since they're in the same family as well. Jason gives out some upsetting news on Wednesday, and Kai Taylor is alarmed. I wonder if he's figured out that his print may be found on the baseball bat at Drew's, which should be no big deal. Kai's been to Drew's house, and he could just say he touched it. It's not like Drew was bludgeoned. Britt has an unsettling encounter on Wednesday, and I wonder if it is Professor Dalton, who knows she should be in Croatia, working on the research on his theories. Thursday, September 18th. Charlotte Cassadine opens up to Lulu Spencer. I wonder if she's going to tell her mom how much she misses her Papa Valentine Cassadine. Tracy Quartermaine and Jason do some bonding, and it could be over their worry for Monica Quartermaine or their dislike of Drew, or both. Gio needs some help from Sunny, and Molly has a secret on Thursday. It could be her crush on Cody. It could be her new romance novel, or maybe some info on the Drew bribery case since she works in the DA's office. Britt has to push her pride aside on Thursday, and it could be with Jason, or it could be with her mom, Liesl. On Friday, September 19th, we have Lulu springing into action to help an accident victim. No word on who is in the accident. Obviously, it's important for it to make it into the spoilers. Gio comes through for Emma, and I'm wondering if he finds Little Outback. Drew has bad news that's delivered from Elizabeth, and I wonder if it's about his injuries. You'd think that would be a doctor. It could be about something with Monica because she's obviously getting sicker soon, or maybe about Scout Kane and Willow, who are staying with her. Danny Morgan is pleading with somebody on Friday, and it might be Drew. He really wants to see Scout, or it could be Willow asking if he can see Scout. Jason admits his regrets when talking to someone. This may be with Britt, and he may tell her that he's sorry that he set her aside for Carly. The week of September 22nd through the 26th, we've got Lulu making a decision. So, is she going to let Charlotte visit Valentine in Steinmauer prison or not? Brennan is there pushing it, and Nina showed up and encouraged it as well. Plus, Drew has to consider his next step, and he needs Martin Gray at his side in case he's charged with bribery. Drew's got to smooth that over. And of course, he wants Michael Corinthos to take the fall for shooting him. Drew bribing that judge just doesn't add up. It's the dumbest thing, because had he bribed the judge for $1 million, that ruling would have gone in Willow's favor. Britt tries to make things right with her mom, Liesl. Britt feels terrible because she was so excited to see her mom. She's been thinking about her a lot, and for her mom to be so angry at her is just killing her. Jason is going to be busy trying to make amends with Britt. She made it clear on the plane coming over to Port Charles that she really dislikes the way he treated her, and she's not here for it. But since her mom is rejecting her, Britt may feel like she needs some sort of support network. Obviously, Nina's going to be there for her. It's not going to be easy, but I do think Jason won't stop trying until he convinces Britt to give him another chance. I do think he's going to have to set some serious boundaries with Carly, though, to make this work, and he has never, ever successfully done that on General Hospital. Monica's health is going to be worsening soon. Her death and her funeral stories are set for early fall. Jacinda Bracken is trying to score paydays. Michael paid Jacinda to give him an alibi, but that doesn't mean she's not going to go ask Drew for money, or maybe Nina. Portia doesn't seem likely to budge, but Jacinda may press on the other people. She may even circle back around to Michael and demand more money from him, because if he doesn't keep paying her, she doesn't have to keep saying that she was with him that night when we know he was right there in the rain. Very dodgy. Sunny's feeling pretty safe this week because Drew's shooting happens to be the one time that Sunny is actually not at the top of a suspect list. The PCPD doesn't seem too worried about him right now. They're focused on other people. However, I wonder if Marco has the original info that his dad Sidwell cooked up that showed bribery from Sonnen to the judge, that he could turn over to the cops to thwart his dad's plans. ABC General Hospital. Spoilers: Jocelyn's identity. Shattered by double paternity bombshell, General Hospital spoilers reveal that Jocelyn Jax's world has been systematically dismantled, leaving her reeling from a web of unimaginable deception. The foundational truths of her life have crumbled, replaced by a horrifying reality orchestrated by the shadowy WSB operative, Brennan. As Jocelyn grapples with a mission that has morphed into a personal nightmare, she faces two catastrophic revelations that threaten her sanity and her future with Vaughn. This devastating spiral began with Brennan's calculated manipulation. Observing the undeniable chemistry between Jocelyn and Vaughn, Brennan devised a plan to sever their growing bond. His motive was rooted in the WSB's intense interest in Jasper Jax, the man Jocelyn called father. Fearing their connection would interfere with his agenda, Brennan dispatched Jocelyn on a seemingly crucial mission to Australia, effectively isolating her from Vaughn and pushing her down a path of his own design. The initial shockwave hit when Jocelyn's mission revealed its true purpose: to take down Jax, who the WSB had branded a dangerous criminal. But the ultimate betrayal was the revelation that Jax wasn't her biological father at all. The man who had raised her, loved her, and anchored her world was part of a lifelong deception, shaking the very core of her identity. Just as Jocelyn reeled from that life-altering news, an even more horrifying possibility emerged, that Brennan, the very man pulling her strings, could be her true father. This potential truth has sent her into a tailspin of obsession and paranoia. The idea that her manipulator, the cold and calculating agent who has used her love and loyalty against her, could be her own flesh and blood is an unfathomable violation. Every command, every secret is now cast in a sinister new light, leaving Jocelyn to question if her entire existence has been a lie. Trapped in the WSB's web, Jocelyn feels like a marionette, her sanity fraying with each new discovery. Her desperate attempts to escape are thwarted at every turn, tightening Brennan's grip. Meanwhile, Vaughn can only watch helplessly as the woman he loves recedes into a world of secrets, her distance and turmoil driving a painful wedge between them. Jocelyn's mission is no longer about uncovering truths about Jax. It's a desperate fight for her own identity. Will she uncover the definitive proof of her parentage? Can her relationship with Vaughn survive this catastrophic storm? Or will Brennan's ultimate manipulation succeed in breaking her completely, ensuring she can never escape his control? The stakes have never been higher as Jocelyn stands on a precipice, forced to confront the man who may have given her life only to destroy it. General Hospital fans, get ready for a seismic shift in Port Charles, 6-time Daytime Emmy winner. Erica Slezak has officially begun taping her first episodes for the ABC soap. The coming week promises heartfelt reunions, emotional turns, and an unforgettable new chapter tied to the Quartermain family. Erica Slezak, beloved for her decades as Vicky on One Life to Live, is finally stepping onto General Hospital's stage. According to her fan club president Walter Miller, she has already completed her first week on set. Erica described her welcome as warmly received, highlighting the kindness of the GH cast and crew. Reuniting with old daytime colleagues has made her transition easier. The actress revealed that reconnecting with friends from One Life to Live added comfort and familiarity to her new environment. While she misses her family and pets at home, Erica is fully embracing this new daytime adventure. Erica shared that her schedule is already demanding, with long hours dedicated to learning scripts. She noted her evenings are now consumed by preparing lines for the following day's work. Despite the hectic pace, she is excited and energized by the challenge. Her fans are eager to see her Port Charles debut. Erica assured everyone that she will share her first air date once it is finalized. Until then, speculation is running wild about which character she will portray, with many convinced she is joining the Quartermain family tree. General Hospital head writers Elizabeth Korta and Chris Van Etten teased big drama in their fall preview. Monica Quartermain's death will devastate Port Charles, particularly Jason and Tracy. Erica's character will arrive during this period of mourning, sparking new storylines and shifting family dynamics. Rumors suggest Erica might play Monica's never-before-mentioned sister. This possibility excites longtime viewers, who know the Quartermains always bring fiery conflicts and layered storylines. Her mysterious ties to others in town ensure that her arrival will not be smooth or simple. Back in June, General Hospital's executive producer Frank Valentini confirmed Erica's casting on social media. Valentini, who once worked alongside her on One Life to Live, expressed his excitement about welcoming her to Port Charles. His announcement fueled weeks of speculation that now stands confirmed with her active filming schedule. Valentini's words made clear the impact of Erica's legacy. Having spent more than 40 years captivating viewers as Vicky, her return to daytime television feels monumental. The buzz around her storyline only adds to the anticipation. While Erica is busy preparing for her official debut, General Hospital spoilers for the week reveal more heartbreak for the Quartermains. Jason will receive somber news, and Port Charles prepares to mourn Monica's passing. This sets the stage for Erica's introduction and the chaos her character promises to bring. The timing could not be more dramatic. The Quartermains will rally together, But secrets, opportunities, and unexpected twists are lurking. Erica's arrival ensures that this storyline will become one of the fall's most unforgettable arcs. General Hospital viewers are buzzing with excitement as Erica Slezak begins filming her first episodes. With Monica's death looming and Port Charles in turmoil, her character's arrival guarantees explosive drama. Stay tuned to Soap Opera Daily for updates on Erica's official debut and all General Hospital news. A chilling silence hung over Port Charles on that fateful night, shattered only by the crack of gunfire. The echo of those shots continues to ripple through the city, marking the moment when Congressman Drew Kane's life and the lives of everyone connected to him were forever altered. For months, Drew had walked a treacherous line. To the outside world, he was the polished politician, a man of ambition and power. But behind closed doors, he had been orchestrating a series of ruthless power plays, manipulating friends and foes alike, and using blackmail as his sharpest weapon. Port Charles had grown weary of his games, and enemies were gathering in the shadows. What no one could have predicted, however, was just how violently those shadows would strike back. That evening began like so many others. Drew returned home to his lavish house, the weight of his double life heavy on his shoulders. With a drink in hand, he paused to study a framed photograph, one that captured a rare moment of tenderness with Willow. On the nearby table, an engagement ring sparkled under the lamplight, waiting for the perfect moment to be slipped onto her finger. "It's all going to work out, Willow. You'll see," Drew whispered to the empty room, his voice tinged with both hope and desperation. But the walls around him carried a different truth. In the shadows, danger stirred. The first bullet tore into him without warning, piercing the calm like a nightmare come alive. Drew staggered, confusion flashing across his face, as the glass slipped from his hand and shattered on the floor. Before he could process what had happened, the dark figure stepped forward, cold and deliberate. A second shot rang out, and Drew collapsed, the life draining from him as swiftly as the blood staining the carpet beneath him. The congressman, once untouchable, was now reduced to a victim, his empire of fear and deceit unraveling in a matter of seconds. And yet, the questions are only just beginning. Who pulled the trigger? Was it one of the countless enemies Drew had made through his ruthless schemes? Was it someone seeking justice, revenge, or perhaps even protection for the ones he had threatened? The identity of the shooter remains cloaked in mystery, but one thing is certain: the ripples of this violent act will be felt by every soul in Port Charles. Willow, left in the wake of tragedy, must now confront the truth of her relationship with Drew, and the secrets he never had the chance to confess. Friends, rivals, and political allies alike will soon find themselves drawn into the tangled web of suspicion. As the investigation deepens, the city holds its breath. The night Drew Kane was gunned down will not be forgotten. It was not just the end of a man's life. It was the beginning of a story that promises betrayal, heartbreak, and shocking revelations yet to come. ABC's General Hospital spoilers: Drew's vile betrayal, forged will ignites all-out Quartermain war. The news of Monica Quartermain's passing has sent shockwaves through Port Charles, leaving the legendary family grappling with the loss of their matriarch. But for Drew Kane, grief was swiftly eclipsed by cold, calculated ambition. While the family mourned, Drew saw a power vacuum and a golden opportunity to seize the legacy and control he felt he had always been denied. His target: the iconic Quartermain mansion and the power it represents. Drew's plan was as swift as it was ruthless. Understanding that the Quartermain estate was temporarily held by the Port Charles Land Trust, he leveraged his influence to orchestrate a private sale. In a stunning move, he convened a family meeting not to mourn Monica, but to drop a bombshell. He had purchased the mansion. The shock turned to outrage when he declared himself the sole owner and promptly evicted a shell-shocked Tracy, Jason, and the rest of the clan from the home they've known for generations. Drew envisioned a new life within those walls, raising Wiley and Amelia alongside Willow, establishing his own dynasty on the ashes of the old one. However, as the Quartermains reeled from the hostile takeover, Tracy and Jason sensed something was profoundly wrong with Drew's seamless acquisition. Their investigation leads to a horrifying discovery that changes everything. Drew's claim to the estate is built on a diabolical lie. He has forged Monica's will, manipulating legal documents to make it appear as if the family matriarch left him everything. This vile act is not just a betrayal. It's a desecration of Monica's memory and a criminal fraud of the highest order. The revelation ignites a firestorm of fury, particularly in Tracy. Her grief turns into a singular, all-consuming obsession to destroy Drew and expose him for the fraud he is. This is no longer just a fight over property. It has become a crusade to protect Monica's honor and reclaim the family's very identity. Tracy vows to make Drew pay, marshaling all her resources to prove his forgery and see him stripped of everything he has stolen. The battle lines are drawn. Drew, believing he has won, prepares to move into his new kingdom, completely underestimating the Quartermain resilience and Tracy's unyielding wrath. The fight for the mansion has become a fight for the family's soul. As Tracy and Jason prepare to expose Drew's deceit, one thing is certain: a war is coming to Port Charles that will be brutal, unforgiving, and will leave the Quartermain family forever changed. Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you agree or disagree? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more updates. Your opinions matter, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.